Hi,
Good,
great to meet you.
good. We're doing great, thanks.
Watched the movie, loved it, especially because it was a rom-com, so light, so fresh. Tell me, what was it you going into this movie, and why a rom-com?
I mean, I think rom-coms are definitely making a comeback, which makes me very happy because I certainly watched my fair share of rom-coms, but I never got to see anybody like that looked like me in it. And I think I think the script was funny, and there's also a lot of interest around Indian weddings, right now. And I can't tell you how many scripts I read that had it was a rom-com around an Indian wedding, but Nikita's script was so interesting and funny, and it came from such a different point of view. The characters were so lovable, and they were also much more like the families that I have grown up around. And I thought that so much of the representation was, of this family was so non-traditional, while still having some of those really interesting quirks of us being Indian. And I thought it was so funny and so interesting, and it had so much potential to do something fun and, as you said, light and vibrant and joyful. So that was why I was really excited about this.
Yeah, I think that there's so much that can happen in a rom-com, and I was excited to do like an exploded rom-com where you're in the world of an Indian family, but all is not as it seems. People may not be the characters that they think they are. You may be interested in love, but not necessarily in marriage. You may want your career. You may want to be close to your family, but they might drive you crazy. Familial expectations and the individual versus the collective family responsibility. All of those things really interested me. And I think the rom com at the moment is just so exciting and unconventional and diverse. And it's the perfect time to sort of realign some of those rom com tropes.
Before when it was Bandit like Beckham, there was this whole American-born, confused Desi narrative going on, where filmmakers kind of connected, give viewers these characters to connect with. Did you two see yourselves in that era? That made you want to make a movie like this with especially female-driven lead stars.
I mean, for me, Bennett like Beckham was very formative. I remember watching that so many times because it was, um, and I watched it when I was in India because I grew up in India. And I remember thinking how it gave such an interesting window into, British Americans, but also how much the similarities. And I also found that, I remember thinking, oh my God, they're so much more conservative than my family is even back in India. It gave you so many interesting a lens into the Indian diaspora and how they live, in different countries. And then now that I don't live in India anymore and I live in America, I see, you know, how different it is over there as well. The way that the kids are, are raised, and how much more traditional the values are and things like that, because you want to hold on to that, while there's all these other influences. But when we made this, we wanted to make something that felt more modern and represented the way I think South Asian families are today. Of course, it's not universal. Not everybody's like this, but I think we don't get to see a family like this. They're much more relatable to someone like me because I know moms like Lakshmi, who are traditional, but they have spunk, they have spark, they are go-getters, they are funny, they're quirky. Like, we don't often get to see that on screen. Our moms are depicted a very particular way. And also with Pia and her sister, we really wanted to show two different sides of how Indian women can be. One is both are very independent, but their approach to life and what they want is different, and neither is wrong. And I think that was important for us to say that just because Pia doesn't want to get married and she wants to do things a certain way, that's not the right way or the wrong way. That is just her way. And her sister wants to get married and believes in love and all of these traditional things, and that's okay too. And I think that was important for us to, make a point about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think that for me, the kind of mischief that you see at play in, say, the British show Goodness Gracious Me, where you can poke fun at yourselves and your own family, but also at the white community around you and how they interact with you or how they interact with each other. That kind of confidence emerging in a generation is what I think you're seeing in Picture This. So you've got a third generation emerging who have their own ideas about identity, about race, about sexuality, about all kinds of things. And they've got their own way of being. And it's really delightful and exciting to see that sense of agency and that sense of movement and the desire to own your own fate.
Now that you said that, it makes so much sense because, when I watched this movie, this was one of the very few ones where the Indian was not, from some downtrodden thing. It wasn't a critical lens. It was just sitting back, enjoying whatever drama plays out. And now with your explanation, it makes so much more sense. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Do you think Hollywood has a lot of catching up to do, especially, with which is basic, giving Indians and colored people of color, just something fun to look forward to?
Absolutely. I mean, I think for sure, we want this film to feel universal, because I think anybody who watches it will be able to relate to a lot of it. You don't have to be from any community to really be like, oh, this is a movie that only speaks to me. But at the same time, there's a lot of things in there for the community, little things that I think would be fun and interesting for, that we will understand, but it'll also be educational for others who don't know what that is, But at the same time, we are making a point without making that the point, right? Is that, yes, we live in these spaces. This is who we are. We come in and out of spaces. I think something that was very important to me was, even in India, you're a certain way at home, you're a certain way outside, but it's very fluid. You're not pretending to be anything. That's who you are. You live in these different spaces, and it's much more pronounced when you're out of your country. You might be, what Indian, feels like at home is different than outside, and I think we wanted to capture how fluid that is. And you really see that with Pia. You even see it with her mom. You even see it with her sister, how they move between these spaces, and it's very organic. And they express themselves differently in each space, And we wanted that to feel real for folks like us who do that a lot,
Yeah, I think that the great reckoning in Hollywood now is what happens when you present various different forms of being South Asian, and that you don't need those to be reductive or to sit in a box or to make them manageable or to be the good immigrant in a very particular way. And we've had colorblind casting, but what happens when you just present yourself in all of your multifarious glory, on screen, and it's messy and it's sort of beautiful?
Nikita, since you wrote this film, can you share if you had any Indian inspiration, any Indian movies that were an inspiration for some of the numbers, the dance numbers, or anything?
I mean, I guess I grew up on a lot of Hindi cinema. I mean, I watched a lot of Indian films growing up, everything from like Satyajit Ray to all of the 80s Bollywood films and those Bollywood rom-coms, films like Ashiki and Dil Hai Juman Nahi, and films like that. And I love that sort of era of 80s and 90s, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, all of that stuff when I was growing up. But I also really loved the films of Meera Nair, who I used to watch quite a lot, and all of the kind of American and British rom-coms, that smorgasbord. So I think they're all in the melting pot there.
Well, probably share something about the casting. Well, you have two very strong lead actresses, Simone, fresh out of Bridgerton, and Sidhu, who played Simone's mom in Sex Education. Was there any reason behind this casting, considering, fans will be quick to draw comparisons between the shows? And also, what was your this behind casting hero for this role as the male lead?
Yeah, I mean, casting was a big part of this this film. We wanted to find the right pieces that really would work. I think obviously Simone brought a lot to the film. I mean, it's also her doing a rom-com for the first time, so it was really exciting to see her sort of step into that genre. And then we really wanted to build the right pieces around her. And in my wish list of actors, Sindhu was top for mom, because she's so funny and she really sort of embodied that mom that we were going for, who really is kind of in that straddling that thing where she's very traditional, but she can be changed, her mind can be, she's not stuck in her ways. There is an element of like her being modern. She became independent not by choice, but because she had to, she got divorced and she had to raise these girls on her own. So she really stepped into that role. And I think we know a lot of women like that, and Simone was a huge, and then of course, Kulvinder, we wanted to find someone who could play the Panditji, who can bring the humor, and Hero, I mean, this is a rom-com, we want to go after somebody who really will kind of get the audiences excited. And also, seeing Simone and Hero together was really fun. And he wanted to also do something that's so different from what he's done in the past. And he brought so much sensitivity and he was so great to work with. And they were a great pair, but then we have all these other dates as well, and every single one, we thought a lot about it. And we were so excited when we actually got the folks we wanted, which was really exciting. So we were able to build this really fun ensemble cast around Simone. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikesh is also playing a character who is contrary to expectations. His last role in Starstruck was that being a kind of Hollywood romantic lead. And he's playing something much more sort of subtle and awkward.
Yeah,
it's
and
really great to see.
Exactly, and we didn't want him to just, even he's also, sort of puts the tropes on its head a little bit, because he doesn't play this like nerdy guy. Like, yes, he's smart, but he's also attractive and he also has a good arc at the end. So we wanted to sort of address those tropes, but in an interesting way. Because when I first read the script, I actually thought she was going to end up with him as I was reading. And then when that scene happened, I was like, I love this movie. What's next? Because it really got me hooked. I was like, I did not see that coming. So that was the scene that really got me excited about the script and wanting to direct it.
Yeah, I think that I really love the screwball comedy era and the dialogue and the bants and all of that crackle and energy, and the fact that there can be so much romantic and sexual tension that turns up in that. And I think that Simone did a great job in having that with so many different of her dates, and with her best friend as well.
Last question. As two dynamic young women in the film industry overseas, after Priyanka Chopra, which Indian talents do you see, crossing over, breaking boundaries in the West? And also, do you find Hollywood is slowly warming up to the ideas of Indian leads, possibly? And in this manner, does star power still propel projects in the West?
Well, the last question first. Yes, star power 100% propels projects still. And I guess we just need to make more stars of people that we want to see, and I think, a movie like this, we really hope the South Asian community will go out and support it so that we can get more stories like this. Because, obviously it's universal. We think everybody will enjoy it. And, I think Priyanka Chopra is doing amazing things. I think Alia Bhatt is making some headway. But we also have Tabu, who's in Dune, Prophecy, I think, who's an amazing actor. So it's great to see that. But it's really interesting to see that it's our Indian female actors who are really making a splash, and they're doing it in different ways, like coming in as character actors and things like that. I'm all for more, let's get as many as we can. So, I get an opportunity to work with more. And of course, and there's Simone, Simone is doing amazing things. Her and Bridgerton was so incredible. And it did a lot for, the South Asian women. I think seeing yourself on screen like that as a as this and the character itself is so interesting. She's so powerful and all of those things. So I think it's a very exciting time for actors. But are we there yet? No, we have a long way to go.
Yeah, I think also I'm interested in emerging talent who I think, like Pratna says, we're not there yet, but who are showing such exciting aspects. I loved All We Imagine Is Light. I thought that was such an incredible film, and I think that the performances in that are just stunning, and I think about them quite often. And I also loved Polite Society, which was just brilliant and kooky and fun and really confident and brash and artistic, and it was
great
all at once. And so I'm seeing new talent emerging that I think, I think those actresses will make their mark.
That's my time. Thank you so very much. Can't wait to see more of your work.
It was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.